Starting your day off with a take on Vegas you won't get anywhere else.
Hi, I'm Holly Madison.
Hi, this is William Shatner.
It is Larry the Cable Guy, and I listen. Why? Because I'm a good American. So is he. And if you don't listen to him, you need to pack up and leave this country.
This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Come on, guys!
Oh, yeah, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. It is Vegas Take time. Sharp and Shapiro back at you. I hope you missed us over the weekend. Maybe you didn't, but we're glad you're listening. Thanks for joining us. We got Chris Wynn in studio. It is Monday, and I'm also very happy to say, I'm in a very good mood today because we actually have a full-time producer in the house. His name is Jason, and we're going to call him Steiner. I think that's a good nickname, but we'll take nicknames. We need a good nickname for this guy. But anyway, I used to work with him in Seattle. Great producer. We're happy to have him here along with the help we get from Johnny. We got a great tag team partnership here. Tag team. Remember the Bushwhackers back in the day?
I do remember them.
They're a great tag team, these guys. So they're going to do a great job for us. We're happy to have both of them here. We're very lucky to have both of them here. So we got a lot to get to today, gentlemen, a lot to go over. One of the most trending stories in Las Vegas, or I guess the story that was the most read in the Review Journal, the Bridget the Midget story. Have you heard about this? We'll get to that. She's a porn star. Yes, she calls herself a midget because she is one. And apparently she stabbed her boyfriend in Vegas. We'll get to that story. A lot of Area 51 stuff to talk about. Oh, yeah, if you went to Life is Beautiful and you traveled or you spent a lot of money to see Lil Wayne, or as I like to call him, Lil Talent. Lil Talent didn't perform at Life is Beautiful. He just didn't show up. So we're going to we're planning on talking to some people that actually bought tickets that were really ticked off. That'll be coming up a little bit. Antonio Bennett news, more allegations.
Or Antonio Brown.
Bride, who is Antonio Bennett?
And Antonio Bennett.
Did I say Antonio Bennett? I'm thinking UNLV basketball.
I think he was a wrestler back in the day.
Are you thinking
JD.
a singer?
He was on a little WWE
Antonio
superstar
Brown.
stuff.
Are you thinking Tony Bennett?
I misspoke. Antonio Brown. A lot of news coming out. More allegations with Antonio Brown. And you might be surprised. Bill Belichick was asked a question pregame before the Jets game, and boy, it was a brutal. I'll explain later coming up. Also, the Las Vegas Aces were in action yesterday. They won, so they play Game 4 tomorrow. We'll get to that as well. And a lot of Donald Trump news, and it involves the Ukraine, folks. What a shocker. We'll get to that in a few. I want to start with this story. I think it's really important. As you know, Beto O'Rourke has been very outspoken, particularly after these mass shootings that took place in his home state of Texas. So he's doing this event in Aurora, Colorado on Thursday. And it's let me emphasize this, it's his event. It's his campaign event. And as you know, he's been at the forefront of this gun control issue. He wants to take all your assault weapons away. Didn't say all your weapons, all your assault weapons, the AR-15s, the AK-47s, etc. So a woman shows up to his rally. Her name is Lauren Boebert. And apparently, she drove 3 hours to go to this rally. She drives to this rally, and she starts causing havoc, I guess, so to speak. So this is Lauren Boebert confronting Beto O'Rourke at his rally in Aurora, Colorado.
I am here to say, hell no, you're not. I have 4 children. I'm 5'0", 100 pounds. Cannot really defend myself with a fist. I want to know how you're going to legislate that, because a criminal, by defense, breaks the law. So all you're going to do is restrict law-abiding citizens like myself.
Okay, first of all, Lauren, you're a complete moron. Yeah. First of all, why you would drive 3 hours to see a politician who has no chance of winning the presidency so that you can ask that question. You're a complete idiot. Get a life, number one. Number two, and I'll be very clear on that. If that was a Democrat doing it to a Republican, I would say the exact same thing. Number two, nobody is saying that you have to defend yourself with your fist. Did Beto O'Rourke say he's going to take all your guns away? I love it how these people on the extreme right go the extreme and say, oh, well, now we can't defend ourselves. You're taking the Second Amendment away. That's not what Beto O'Rourke said. You could agree or disagree with him. He has never said a law-abiding citizen cannot defend themselves with a gun. We are talking about the type of gun. Okay, what's next? Can you defend yourself with a bazooka or a tanker? We've had this conversation before. We are talking about the assault weapons that have been used, particularly at the Walmart shooting in Texas, right here in Las Vegas. Those are the types of weapons that Beto O'Rourke is talking about. So she is completely asinine, and she has no idea what she is talking about. Nobody's saying that you have to defend yourself with a fist. It is completely ridiculous. Then she shows up on Fox and Friends. What a shocker. You show up to a rally where, Beto O'Rourke or a Democrat is talking about gun control, and you say something controversial, or in this case, in my opinion, ignorant, and then all of a sudden Fox and Friends invite you on the show. Do you remember Joe the plumber, that moron who confronted Barack Obama? And it turns out that guy wasn't making six figures a year. He was actually making money off of the government because he was on welfare. He was a liar, a fraud. And all these Republicans and people on the right had Joe the plumber on their show. The guy's a complete fraud. She's a complete fraud. It's a joke. Okay? By the way, she expanded on her comments, as I mentioned, on Fox and Friends, saying shame on him for coming to Colorado to expound upon our tragedies. First of all, he's not trying to expound on your tragedies. He's trying to do something to prevent more tragedies from happening, you nitwit, you stupid woman. Okay? She also went on to say those are our victims, and he came here to paint a picture for his own campaign trail and shame on you, sir, for doing that. Well, let me ask you this question then, Lauren. What do you think we should do about these mass shootings? Nothing? Because in your eyes, you haven't come up with anything. The only thing you've said is, I want to defend myself instead of my fist. What is going on here in the world where people don't even understand what these politicians are trying to say? Nobody's trying to take all your guns away. It's not happening. It just gets me so angry. She goes, as you said, as she said in that clip, she says, "I have 4 children. I'm 5'0", 100 pounds." That is completely academic to this conversation.
What difference does it make if she's 5 feet, 100 pounds? You're going to have a weapon. Democrats or anybody that is on the left is not trying to take all your weapons. You'll have the Glock, you'll have a shotgun, you'll have some type of weapon to defend yourself. This whole narrative she put forth of poor little me because I'm small has nothing to do whatsoever with any type of scenario that would present itself where she would need to protect her family,
right,
quote unquote.
And of course, Fox and Friends does the biggest fluffer interview you could possibly imagine. She went on to say, "We support our president." By the way, there's a shocker. I love my president, and I implore him, please protect our Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is protected. What is she talking about? We're talking about specific guns that Beto O'Rourke is talking about. Now, I wouldn't have gone down that route. And I said I think Beto maybe took it a little bit too far.
Well, no. See, what you don't understand on this, Brian, though, is this, okay? Beto O'Rourke, you said it was in his home state. It was in his hometown, my friend, okay? He had a mass shooting in his hometown. And I was going to say. Affected, so yes,
I understand.
Beto O'Rourke has invested. He's an emotional guy. He gets fired up, okay?
I get it.
So, the statement that he made, the language, I guess, it was aggressive, but I have no problem with him saying that, okay? He was talking about a specific weapon, and in the grander scheme of things, he's talking about assault weapons, quote unquote assault weapons, or another term that we have used on this station and that many people like myself who think, yes, you should absolutely be able to protect and arm yourself in America.
And by the way,
we're not trying to take law-abiding citizens' weapons away, but there are certain we've used the term, right? Weapons of war. Okay, weapons of war do not need to be on American streets legally. Okay?
By the way, but speaking about expounding on tragedies, because this woman said she said that Beto O'Rourke is expounding on the tragedy, which is completely ridiculous. Let me ask you this, guys, Trump. Let me ask you this, JD. Talking about expounding on a tragedy. How about when Donald Trump went to the hospital after the Texas El Paso shootings, and nobody really wanted to take up none of the victims.
He had to find people. He had to look for people.
Yeah. So the picture he takes is with a baby that they had to bring the baby back to the hospital. The baby just lost his or her parents in the shooting. And he takes a picture with a baby and he puts his thumb up in the air like it's some sort of politician campaign trail photo op. You want to talk about compounding on a tragedy? I would say Donald Trump exactly did that. And then he goes into a hospital in Texas, El Paso, and he talks about how many more people he had at his rally than Beto O'Rourke. Okay, make no mistake about it. Beto O'Rourke, in my personal opinion, and I think many people on the right and the left would agree with me, has not been doing this to try to become the president. He has not been doing this to try to get votes. He's doing it because he cares. Now, you can disagree with his premise.
I don't think you can say that he doesn't want to become president. That's not why he's doing this. I mean, it's relevant. There's a reason why he's choosing this topic, but he does have emotional investment into it because of where he is from and because of what took place.
I agree.
And you can't argue that. But I think it's a little bit of both.
I don't know if I would go that far. I really don't. But to say that he's doing it for compounding off a tragedy, I think is somebody has to do something here. Somebody has to step up and do something. The answer to this is not more guns. And for these people like this woman, Lauren Bobart, who I think is a complete loser, who drove 3 hours to Beto O'Rourke's campaign
to ask a question.
It wasn't even really a question. It was more of a statement. And then Fox and Friends invites her on Fox and Friends. And she says that he's compounding off of this tragedy. He's trying to, make something of this tragedy. What a loser this woman is.
Well, Brian and JD, let's be clear though. This is the same woman, right? That asked the same question at it wasn't even a rally. It was like on the steps of some statement that where Beto was speaking, right? This is the same woman that it was like 3 or 4 days ago, right?
Right.
It's the exact same woman that ended up in Colorado. And basically said the same thing that she said that day. I believe it was 3 or 4 days ago in Texas.
Yeah, right.
So it's not like it's the first time this woman has confronted Beto O'Rourke, or there's been a confrontation between the two. So I think we need to make that clear also.
No, I agree with you 150%. But I mean, what do you make of this woman? I'll pose this question to some of the listeners out there. What do you make of this woman showing up to Beto O'Rourke's campaign rally, saying, hell no, you're not going to take my guns, making it sound like Beto is trying to take all of her guns away? Let me give out the number. So for those of you that want to call into the program, let me just give out the number real quick. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, if you want to be a part of this conversation, what do you think of this woman that says that Beto O'Rourke is taking advantage of a tragedy? What do you make of her comments, traveling 3 hours to say, hell no, you're not taking our guns, making it like Beto wants to take all of your guns away, and involves around the Second Amendment? What do you think about that? Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation, 702-257-5396. That's 257-5396.
I was thinking to myself, what does a AR-15 look like in the hands of a 5'4", 120-pound woman?
I don't know.
Me either.
Yeah. But I don't really care what it looks like. I care more about what it does to people, particularly innocent people. Those types of weapons, and that weapon specifically, was designed for mass casualties. The bullet enters your body and destroys your body in every which direction. These types of weapons should not be on the streets. These types of weapons should not be sold to the public, period. And this has nothing to do with the Second Amendment or taking your right for defense or taking your weapons away. It has absolutely nothing to do with that.
It's called logic and reasoning.
That's exactly what it is. I agree.
It's very simple.
I agree. I want this woman, even though she sounds like a nut job, I still want her to be able to protect herself. I want her to be able to have a gun to protect herself from any type of home invasion. It's very simple to me. That's, I would never say otherwise. But I don't believe anybody out there, except if you're in law enforcement or you're fighting a war, you're a soldier, I don't think anybody should have these types of assault weapons. Now, I think the mistake that Beto O'Rourke made, and I understand it's very emotional for him, and I applaud him for at least stepping up and having the guts to say something like that, but it's just not going to happen. It's never going to be passed, at least not now. Republicans are just not going to be okay with this. We're taking your phone calls, 257-5396. Again, 257-5396. Let's go to Jimmy. Jimmy, what's going on?
Why do police officers need these so-called assault weapons? They feel that they need them.
Because they're in something called law enforcement. Their job is to serve and protect. That's why, sir.
Yeah, well, how about if you serve and protect your family when you have 5
You're not the law, sir. Jimmy, you're not the law.
Guns.
Jimmy, you don't handcuff somebody. You don't
Are you allowed to protect yourself?
I'm trying to answer your question. Hold on, let me answer Jimmy's question. Jimmy, I'm trying to answer your question. So, I don't know if you're aware of this, but when police are out on the streets, they probably get 10 to 20 calls, 30 calls a day of disturbances, where the public actually needs their help.
They're not shooting at people every day. It's pretty rare that they shoot at people. Very rare.
So, because you think
50 million people in this country, and once in a while somebody gets shot, but then it's all over the news.
So your argument,
once in a while, is probably the wrong way to put that.
That's not factually accurate. So let me ask you a question, Jimmy. Based on your position, soldiers have tankers and bazookas, so you're trying to say that the public should have tankers and bazookas also?
No, I think everybody should be able to have an F-16 to protect their house. So what kind of a stupid question is that?
Well,
that is plain stupid.
No, it's not. I think you're being plain stupid because you're saying police officers shouldn't have AR-15s. I think you're being plain stupid. If you want to accuse me of being stupid, you're being stupid.
Have an AR-15.
So you think?
What if you have multiple?
So you think when somebody invades your house, you must have an assault weapon to protect yourself? Is that what you're saying?
If you have multiple
Answer the question. Answer the question. You're telling me that in fear of a home invasion, you feel like you must have an assault weapon to protect yourself. Is that your position, Jimmy?
I never said must. You said that.
You're the one who's making the argument. You're the one who's making the argument about AR-15s. I'm asking you a question. Do you think you need an AR-15 to protect yourself in your home? Answer the question, dummy. Answer the question.
Some people feel it's necessary.
If some people, you're a coward. Why don't you answer the question yourself? I didn't ask some people. I'm asking you. You coward. Get off the show, you idiot.
Hey, great call.
Get off the show. Not a great call.
I mean, let's pose another question here, okay? Do you need an M60 at everybody's house to protect your home, right? I mean, an M60. Think about that, okay? You know what I'm talking about. A Gatling gun, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I'm not a gun expert. I don't have to be. But I mean, it's just taking it just so far. Look, this woman, okay, is a figurehead for the far right that wants to present this false narrative that all the people on the left want to take all of your guns.
She's an extremist. She's an extremist, and extremists right now are not good for the United States. They just create more and more division.
257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Brady. Brady, what's up?
What's up, Brady?
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen.
How you doing?
I want to bring up the point of you keep going after the AR-15, and you say, well, you don't need an AR-15 in your house. But would you be willing to allow a Glock, say a .45 caliber, with a 50-round magazine in it for home defense?
If it has the same capability of an AR-15, the answer would be no.
It does. So
then the answer is no. Then the answer is no. If it has the same capability of an AR-15, the answer is no.
And I completely agree.
Okay. So what we need to go after, you guys, you're going after the guys. We need to go after the
magazines.
All right, Brady, let me ask you a question, okay? How many mass shootings have taken place where someone has been, for example, in Las Vegas, okay, where you're 20 or 15 floors up, and they've used a Glock with the kind of magazine that you just talked about, okay, and they've used that for a mass shooting. I mean, these comparisons, I get it. You're coming from a perspective where you think that everybody should have access to whatever they want. There's a different thing.
Go ahead. Answer the question.
How many mass shootings?
The shooter that just happened a little while after the El Paso shooter also used a handgun, and it was a Glock, and he shot 49 or 50 rounds. So, yes, it's been used in shootings all over.
He also had an AR-15. 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 Did you just hear what I just said?
Pardon me?
Goodbye, Brady.
Have a nice day. Once or twice, Brian.
I mean, we all can see with our eyes, right? We can all look, and we can all hear, we can all see. We all know what's going on.
Yeah, the answer is somewhere between a combination of ammunition type, bullet type, magazine size, and the weapon itself. Right. That's where it lies. It's not just the weapon, and Brady was right. It's a combination of things.
I agree with that.
And honestly, I don't have a huge issue with owning an AR-15 and having it at your home, but in public is a totally different conversation.
Mm-hmm. 257-5396 if you want to be a part of the conversation. Again, that is 257-5396. Let's try to squeeze in one more call before we go to break. Let's go to Carl. Carl, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Carl?
Yeah, hey, Brian, JD, how you doing?
Good.
Doing well.
I have at home, for home protection, I have a 9mm Glock. Mm-hmm. Believe me, that'll take down anybody who walks in the door or who threatens my home.
So let me ask you a question, Carl. And by the way, I agree with you. Why is it you think so many people like Brady or the caller before Brady, who said that he wouldn't really directly answer the question, but he was trying to make the case that people should have AR-15s to be able to defend themselves from home invasions? What do you make of people like that?
Well, that's they're trying to show their manhood, which generally they don't have. And what I'm trying to say is, you don't need a weapon that can kill 30 people in 30 seconds.
Right.
30 people aren't going to invade your house. I mean,
you're not going to get 15 MS-13 gang members attacking you.
I know you need a laugh for the day, but everything Trump says is a laugh. But he just was asked at a press conference, what do you really think of Red China? Do you know what he answered?
What was the answer?
I think it looks great on a yellow tablecloth.
That's typical. Okay. That's typical Donald Trump. For Carl, I appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I want to squeeze in one more call before we go to break. Let's go to Michelle. Michelle, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, Michelle?
Hi. So my 30-06 that I used to go deer hunting with is a larger caliber than those AKs and ARs. Mm-hmm. And also, when it comes to AKs and ARs, there are a lot of people who have them registered and have them legally and use them as target practice as a sport. And the only difference between a hunting rifle and the AR or the AK or the AM is the stock. I mean, my 30-06 has a beautiful wooden stock to it, looks like a hunting rifle, and the ARs look more militaristic. But if you look at the size of the ammunition, the 30-06 is much more powerful.
Let me ask you a question, though. We all talk about the Second Amendment, right? I don't believe personally that the Second Amendment gives you the right to own a weapon of war for personal entertainment. You have the right to defend yourself with a weapon, but not necessarily a weapon of war. Do you agree with that?
I don't believe that an AK or an AR is necessarily a weapon of war. It's a semi-automatic rifle, just like my 30-06 that I deer hunt with.
So what would you say about the gun that was used at Walmart, for example, or the gun that was used in Las Vegas? Those aren't weapons of war?
I think that what we need to do is, instead of and this is going to sound cliche, but I think what we need to do is enforce the laws that we have and give maximum penalty for those that use any sort of a gun.
I get what you're saying, Michelle. I'm up against a hard break.
The issue with that is a shooter like the one in El Paso just does not care.
Well, I'm up against a hard break. We'll continue this conversation on the other side. Thank you for the call, Michelle. We appreciate it. We'll take a quick break. Be back right after this. Oh, Trump in the Ukraine. Have you heard about this story? We'll get to that coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take.